How did ancient people build one of the greatest monuments in human history? 4,500 years ago, in the desert of ancient Egypt, humans built a monument so massive that it still stands today. But the pyramid did not begin in the desert. It began in limestone quarries, where thousands of stone blocks were cut by hand. But cutting the stones was only the beginning. To move blocks weighing several tons, workers dragged them across the desert on wooden sledges. To raise the blocks higher, the Egyptians most likely used massive ramps, dragging each stone upward as the pyramid grew layer by layer. Blocks reached the construction level, they were carefully positioned by skilled workers, creating each new layer with remarkable precision. This was not a random crowd. It was a massive organized workforce, supported by food, shelters, scribes, supervisors, and skilled craftsmen. The final surface was covered with smooth white limestone casing stones, making the pyramid shine brilliantly under the Egyptian sun. Before the first layers could rise, Egyptian surveyors had to measure the ground with ropes, stakes, and remarkable geometric precision. The pyramid was aligned almost perfectly with the cardinal directions, showing just how advanced Egyptian planning had become. Before the pyramid could rise, the foundation had to be leveled, measured, and prepared to carry millions of tons of stone. Every day, food, water, tools, ropes, timber, and stone had to reach the construction site at exactly the right time. The Nile was the highway of ancient Egypt, carrying food, timber, tools, and heavy materials toward the Giza construction site. When the boats reached the riverbank, workers unloaded the supplies and carried them across the desert toward the pyramid site. Scribes recorded every delivery, tracking food, tools, workers, and stone blocks, so the massive project could keep moving. Behind every moving stone, craftsmen repaired ropes, sledges, wooden levers, and copper tools before they failed. Inside the pyramid, narrow passages and chambers were planned with the same precision as the massive outer shape. The inner chambers were not carved randomly. Their position, height, and direction had to be planned before the stone layers closed around them. Some of the heaviest stones were not limestone at all. They were granite blocks brought from Aswan, hundreds of kilometers to the south. Inside the pyramid, these granite blocks were used for the inner chambers, where strength and permanence mattered most. Most limestone blocks weighed around 2.5 tons. Some granite stones were far heavier, turning every movement into a test of coordination and strength. As the pyramid grew taller, the work became even more dangerous. High above the desert, every stone had to be guided with extreme care. Near the top, every new block became harder to move. The higher the pyramid rose, the slower and more dangerous the work became. The ramps, ropes, sledges, workers, scribes, and supply teams all worked together like one enormous ancient system. At every level, master builders checked the joints, angles, and alignment, because even a small mistake could grow across the entire structure. The outer casing stones were shaped and polished until the pyramid's surface became smooth, bright, and almost seamless. Under the Egyptian sun, the finished white casing would have reflected light like a giant man-made mountain. When the final casing was finished, the temporary ramps were removed, revealing the clean geometric shape of the pyramid. As the worksite was cleared, the construction zone transformed into a finished monument rising above the desert. At the end, the pyramid was more than a building. It was a statement of royal power, religion, and the strength of the Egyptian state. For ancient Egyptians, the pyramid was not only engineering, it was a sacred monument built for eternity. When it was finished, the Great Pyramid rose above the Nile Valley, shining over the fields, villages, and desert of ancient Egypt. From a distance, the pyramid dominated the entire landscape, rising above the Giza Plateau like nothing the world had ever seen before. For ancient Egyptians, this monument showed the power of the pharaoh, the strength of the state, and the ability to organize thousands of lives toward one purpose. At night, the completed pyramid stood under the stars, silent, enormous, and built to last beyond any single lifetime. Centuries passed, winds, sand, and empires moved across Egypt, but the Great Pyramid remained. Over many centuries, most of the smooth white casing disappeared, leaving behind the rough stone core we recognize today. Today, the pyramid no longer shines with white limestone, but its ancient stone core still rises above the desert. The Great Pyramid was not built by magic. It was built by planning, mathematics, labor, logistics, and one of the most organized civilizations in human history.